I still remember my first night at Blackridge Asylum. Even the name sounds wrong when you say it out loud. Like it doesn't belong to a real place. Like it belongs in a nightmare someone tried to forget. But it was real. And I was there. I was a security guard new on the job. Fresh uniform, new flashlight, and a badge that made me feel more important than I actually was. I needed the money, so I didn't ask too many questions when they sent me to the night shift at an old closed facility outside the city. They didn't call it an asylum in the interview. I found that out later. The road to Blackridge Asylum was long and empty. No street lights. No houses. Just trees on both sides standing still like they were watching me pass. When I finally saw the building, my stomach dropped. It was huge. Old stone walls, broken windows, and a gate that looked like it hadn't been opened in years. The wind pushed against it, making a slow, painful creaking sound. I parked the car and stepped out. The air felt heavier here. Like I was breathing something old. A man was waiting near the gate. My supervisor for the night shift. He didn't smile. "You're early," he said. "I like to be on time," I replied. He looked at me for a second, then handed me a flashlight and a radio. "The cameras inside don't work," he said. "So you'll do rounds every hour. Stick to the main hallways. Don't go into the restricted wings." "Why not?" I asked. He paused. "Because nobody fixes things that don't need fixing." That answer made no sense. But I didn't push it. Before leaving, he added one more thing. "If you hear the intercom, ignore it." I laughed a little. The intercom? In a place like this? He didn't laugh back. Then he drove away. And I was alone. The front door was already open. That should have been my first warning. I pushed it slowly. It made a long, painful sound as it moved. Inside, everything smelled like dust and old metal. The air felt cold even though it was summer outside. My flashlight beam moved across the hallway. Peeling paint. Broken chairs. A reception desk covered in white sheets. And silence. A deep, heavy silence that didn't feel normal. Like the building was holding its breath. I checked my radio. Static. Of course. Easy first night, I told myself. But my voice sounded too loud in that place. Like even speaking was a mistake. I started my first round. The hallway stretched longer than it should have. The walls seemed to go on forever, even though I knew the building's layout from the map. Room numbers were faded. Some doors were opened slightly, like someone had left in a hurry. As I walked, I kept hearing small sounds. Not footsteps. Something softer. Like fabric moving. Or breathing. I stopped. The sound stopped too. I raised my flashlight quickly and checked both sides of the hall. Nothing. Just empty doors and shadows. "Relax," I whispered. "It's just an old building." But deep inside I knew something felt wrong. Very wrong. On the second floor I saw it. An old intercom speaker mounted high on the wall. It was cracked, dusty, and covered in cobwebs. A metal box with a red light that should have been dead years ago. I remembered what the supervisor said. "If you hear the intercom, ignore it." I smiled nervously. "It doesn't even work," I said out loud. I tapped it lightly with my flashlight. Nothing. Just dead silence. I moved on. The first hour passed slowly. Too slowly. I sat at the small security desk near the entrance and wrote my report. Nothing unusual. Everything normal. But normal felt like a lie. Every few minutes I thought I heard footsteps upstairs. Soft. Slow. Like someone walking barefoot. I checked my radio again. Static. Then silence. Then static again. I told myself it was interference. Old building. Old wires. That's all. But then it happened. At exactly 1:03 a.m. the intercom crackled. I froze. A sharp sound of static filled the hallway. I looked up slowly. The red light on the intercom was on. That wasn't possible. The building had no power to it. Then I heard it. A whisper. Oh, broken. Hello. My entire body went cold. I stepped back from the desk. The intercom crackled again. Is anyone there? The voice sounded female. Close. Too close. I grabbed my flashlight tightly. Hello, I said carefully. Who is this? Static. Then silence. I looked around the hallway. Empty. No movement. No sound. I forced myself to breathe. It's just a prank, I said. Old system turning on by mistake. But even I didn't believe my own words. 10 minutes later it happened again. This time louder. Please, don't leave. I dropped my pen. My heart started beating fast. I walked slowly toward the intercom. Who are you? I asked. The speaker hissed. Then a pause. Then, you are here now. My hand froze in the air. That doesn't make sense, I said. This system is dead. A soft laugh came through the speaker. No, it is not dead. My flashlight flickered. Once, twice, then stayed on. I stepped back slowly. And then I saw something that made my stomach twist. The intercom light wasn't just on. It was blinking in a pattern. Like Morse code. Like it was trying to speak. After that, things started changing. Small things first. Doors that were open were now closed. Windows that were broken now looked intact in the reflection. The hallway seemed longer than before. I walked faster. My footsteps echoed too much. Too loud. Like someone was walking behind me. I turned suddenly. Nothing. But I felt it. I was being followed. Not physically. But watched. Always watched. At 2:14 a.m. the intercom came alive again. This time the voice was clearer. Too clear. Why are you afraid? I backed away from the wall. I'm not afraid, I said even though my voice shook. Pause. Then. You will be. The lights in the hallway flickered. Once. Twice. Then everything went dark. My flashlight was the only light left. And then the whisper came from somewhere else. Not the speaker. Not the wall. Behind me. Right behind me. Turn around. I didn't want to. But I did. Nothing was there. But the air felt different. Closer. Like someone had just stepped away from me. I don't know why I went there. Maybe curiosity. Maybe panic. But I walked toward the restricted wing. The door was chained, but the chain was already broken. It looked like it had been broken recently. I pushed the door open. The smell hit me first. Metal. Old blood. And something worse. Decay. The hallway inside was different. Narrower. Colder. The walls had scratches on them. Deep scratches. Like something had tried to escape. My flashlight shook in my hand. Then I saw names written on the wall. Hundreds of them. Scratched into the paint. All different handwriting. All repeating the same phrase. Don't listen to her. The intercom voice came again. But this time it wasn't just in the hallway. It was inside my head. You should not be here, it whispered. I'm just doing my job, I said loudly. Silence. Then. No, you are replacing him. My throat went dry. Replacing who? The intercom hissed. Then the final words came. The last guard. My flashlight dropped slightly. I remembered something the supervisor said when he left. Nobody fixes things that don't need fixing. I finally understood. This place wasn't abandoned. It was contained. I ran back toward the exit. But the hallway wasn't the same anymore. Kept shifting. Turning. Changing. Doors that led outside now opened into more hallways. The building didn't want me to leave. The intercom screamed now. Not whispered. Screamed. You cannot leave. I covered my ears. But it didn't help. Because the sound wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside me. I ran. Faster. Harder. My flashlight flickered violently. And then I saw it. A security desk. My security desk. But I hadn't reached the entrance yet. I looked down. There was a logbook. My logbook. Already filled. Every entry signed. In my handwriting. Dates going back weeks. Months. Years. My hands started shaking. No, I whispered. This is my first night. The intercom whispered softly. You always say that on your first night. The lights came back on. Suddenly, everything was bright, clean, normal. The building looked new, modern, not abandoned anymore. And standing in front of me was another security guard, young, confused, holding a flashlight, just like I was. He looked at me. "I'm new here," he said. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out, because I finally saw the truth. I was the voice now. I was the intercom. And I had been warning myself every night for years. But no one ever listens on their first night. And now, somewhere inside Blackridge Asylum, another guard is hearing whispers for the very first time. And I am the one speaking. Always.